Alright, y'all, so I'm gonna revisit this tiller here that I've had for a few months that I got going, but now it's not really wanting to go anymore. This has been left outside for a little bit. And rear tine tiller, Troy-Bilt Tuffy with the 4-horse Briggs on it. Overall it's in very good shape. Doesn't look like it has been used a ton. As you can see, a little bit of stuff on the tines, but I can clean that off. What I'm gonna end up doing with this, because I've been toying with the idea of going ahead and going all out and fixing it, and because it's in very good shape for what it is. And so it has a little bit of an oil leak, a little bit of an oil drizzle, but nothing to really sneeze at, and wash it off and probably be good for a little while. Just check the oil here and there. But and I don't know if, I'm pretty sure I made a video on this at the very beginning. Like I said, I made over 100 videos this year, so it's hard to decipher what I did and didn't make videos on, although I made videos on most. I'm pretty sure I made one on this one because this one was in pieces when I got it, and the guy let me have it for like $10 in addition to a large mower lot I bought from him for $100. So it wasn't, didn't really cost me too much. I said, what the heck, if I get bored, I can, have a little bit of a challenge as I'm pulling this off. And so this one really wasn't too bad of a challenge. I never really worked on a horizontal shaft engine before. Even though these are common Briggs engines here. Hadn't really worked on any of them before. So I gave it a shot. I was able to get everything back together by not really having to look too much. I did put a diaphragm in it, and it got it running for a little bit, but I think the carburetor's a little bit too messed up to really worry about fixing. This tiller is relatively old. I don't know the year that it was made. It meets the 1996 safety standard, so it could be anywhere between a 96 and an 03, 04, to be honest. Gas cap's a little bit rusted, and I think water's getting in it, but I'm not sure. I thought those holes right there were actually holes from the weather, so I was thinking I was going to have to put a gas cap on it, but it looks like I'll be okay without having to put a gas cap on it, which is good. Y'all know me, I try and do what I can to get a nice piece of equipment and also save some money. But what I'll be doing here is splurging a little bit, but not really splurging, just getting this back to where it's supposed to be. And I'll show you when I take it off, but I'll take the carburetor off with the 4 bolts that it takes to get it off there. And, make sure I probably take a picture of everything before I take it off. That way I know how to put all the linkages and stuff back together again. I think I got some, rust, calcium built up in the carburetor. The pickup tube is very cracked. It's cracked and brittle. I think both are a little bit beyond repairing. Actually, they could be repaired if I bought the parts, but there are plenty of carburetors online that will fit right onto this motor that all I have to do is pay about $20 for. And so that's what I'm going to do. And then the other part to it is the cable here. The cable is pretty bad off. And I knew it was, but I was trying to salvage it, and it just wasn't going to work. I've sourced the cable. I think it's in the neighborhood of $15. So you're talking about $35 to get and then the $10 that I paid for it. So you're talking around $50 or so to get what is probably going to end up being a $200 tiller. The belt is not in the best shape, but it doesn't have any cracks, and as you have seen in other videos, it pulls just fine. So not really worried about the belt. Topped it off with oil. Oil is fine. I'll give it a good wash. It'll still probably leak oil out a little bit, but who knows how much, use this had to get looking like that, how long it's been sitting, and maybe even been tilted on its side, because like I said, it was in pieces when I got it. So this will take a little while, because it'll take time to get these parts shipped in. But I will get the carburetor off and kind of show you what I'm dealing with it, and part of the reason why I'm not really going to fix the carburetor on it and just buy a new one, since I can get it for $20 and save myself the time and all the hassle associated with it. But the motor is very good. It's got really good compression on it. Horizontal shaft Briggs are known to last for a while. The gas tank's usually the weak point, which is why I'm glad this gas tank is in good shape. And kind of stinks, because last year I sold a motor that had a carb on it already for like $25. Or I think I sold it for a little bit more than that. I can't remember. But that's alright. I'll put a new carburetor on it, put a new cable on it. We'll have a like new tiller here. So I took the carburetor off here. As you can see, there's the problem with the pickup tube on it. It's a little cracked and worn. However, if you blow through it, it's still in decent shape. I didn't realize how bad the carbon or the calcium buildup was on the carburetor here. So just kind of as an experiment to see if I can get it running into where it will start on its own, I'm going to use some brake cleaner, carb cleaner, all that type of cleaner to try and get this thing clean again, and see what we can do with it. I didn't realize how bad that was, because it does have a new diaphragm in it. I put a brand new diaphragm in it, and that kind of fixed it the first time. But now I'll clean off all the calcium and all this good stuff and see if we can get it running the second time, and kind of clean the tube out too. So here we go. So I got it cleaned to the best of my ability. That jet was clogged, so that's probably a big reason why it never really wanted to start and run. Also working on the gas tank a little bit. There was a little bit of rust in there, just from where it was sitting, nodding and things like that. So I will give this carburetor another shot. Like I said, if I can get it to start and run on its own, that's the goal. Whether it's with this carburetor or with another carburetor. And I'm just going to run this thing for a long, long time if I can get it running, just to get a bunch of stuff cycled through there. And hopefully we'll have a good tiller. Again, worst case scenario, I'll put a carburetor on it. So let me put the carburetor back on it, and we'll see what we got. So as I'm putting this back together, I want to kind of show you all how to put it back together. You have your two intake bolts that are better off using that 6-point there to get them in, just because getting a wrench on is a little bit difficult with the exhaust here, and the bottom was not too bad, but the top one kind of gets in the pipe a little bit, trying to tighten it with a wrench. The gas tank attaches at the bottom here with the 3/8, and then it's mounted on the top by 5 mounting bolts. One of them is a really long one. It goes on top here of the carburetor and goes through to the tank. You got a second, a third, and then the fourth and the fifth actually double as the throttle and the choke mechanisms mounting bolts as well. And so you put those on like so, and you've got that, and just connect your spring there to your throttle, and you're in business. So that's how that works. And then, you know, you have all your air filter housing and stuff that you got to put on too with your air filter. And then you put your exhaust back on. So, and the exhaust just goes back on. You take the top bolt off, and the bottom one will just slide right off there, and you've got the exhaust off. So that's how you take it off, put it back on. Make sure that's out of the way so that it doesn't try and turn whenever we try to till or run this thing. So, you know, that's how it all is. I'm going to put everything back on. I did blow out the gas tank quite a bit of, you know, just rust pieces that had broken off and stuff had come out of it. So I blew that clean. Hopefully that will keep it clean for a good little while now. And like I said, hopefully we'll have a running tiller here, considering the amount of buildup that was on the carburetor. So let me finish putting it back together. We'll see if we can get this thing a shot. So I got it all back together. I haven't put the air filter cover back on it yet, but that's alright. It doesn't really affect how it starts and all that good stuff. So this thing might be hit or miss, but we'll at least try it and see if it'll crank for us. Like I said, I don't have a lot of faith in it, but we'll see what happens. It would help if I turned the throttle on, wouldn't it? It's still struggling some, which is not surprising, but at least it is running on its own. I might just let this thing run for a while and see what happens. I will put the air cleaner and stuff back on it. As you saw, I had to put a little brake cleaner in it to get it going. But it will run on no choke, which is good. Let me put the air filter on it and see if it runs a little better. it out here running for a while. As you can hear after I put the air filter on, it's still doing the same thing. And also the gasket's bad on it. So it's leaking gas out of the gasket between the carburetor and the tank. So not gonna really sell it like that, obviously. What I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and purchase the carburetor, purchase the cable, and purchase a gas cap, which altogether is going to be about 40 bucks. Like I said, I have about $50 in the tiller. I'll get the money back out of it. So I'll order those when they come at the end of in a few days. I'll pick this video up again, and we'll just we'll keep going with it. Here we are a few days later. As I mentioned, I got all my goodies here. They all came on the same day, believe it or not. Fuel cap, carburetor, and the cable. So I will put these three on. As you can see, I cleaned the tiller up a little bit. Just make it look a little nicer. So we'll put these three on and see if we have a like new tiller here. Should be pretty good. So just for the 5th or 6th time, take this thing back apart. So the first of my items is on the cable, which is really easy. All I had to do was take the old one out and slide the new one in here. 3/8 on this side, 7/16 on this side to get it tight, and then run it up into this mounting hole right here. And it comes with just this, not without the spring. So what I ended up doing is there's like a threaded screw in the spring that you thread down into this, and has a nut on it, and you just tighten it, screw it in and tighten it up and get it to the correct tension, so that, you know, when it's off it's like that, and when it's on, the belt's engaged and the drive's engaged. So that's step 1. Step 2, and well, we can do step 2 on camera right now. Take the old gas cap off and put the new one on. Easy enough, right? Hopefully it will seal better than the old one, which it seems like it is, so that's good. So there you go. And the last step is change the carburetor out. So let me start by taking off all the bolts and the exhaust, and we'll put everything together. So a couple things that I saw on this carburetor that are a little bit different than the one that's on it. I've got to transfer a couple of things over onto this carburetor that are not on the other carburetor. It almost looks like I'm going to have to thread a hole too, because there's a mount right there that I don't have a thread area to put on this, so I might have to, like I said, I might have to thread a hole in this. Another thing I've noticed is there's on the side there, this has a place where you mount something, probably a throttle, that is an additional add-on to this that I don't have on this carburetor. So all I got to do is take this off, and then I might be able to transfer this onto the top and put the spring on that, but who knows. Otherwise I'll just drill a small hole and thread it right there in the right here, because it's missing everything there. But apart from those two differences, everything else is the same on this carburetor. And I just got to transfer a couple of other screws and stuff that are on this carburetor onto this one, and we should be in good shape. So let me go ahead and get to working on that. Should be good to go here in a few minutes, hopefully. I can do a side-by-side of this old carburetor versus the new carburetor here. So you can see the old one is looking its age, so to speak. But as you can see, the throttle mechanisms are pretty much the same on them. And I've just got to tap the thread for the return spring there, so that I can put the little return spring mount on. That way it'll work just like the other one. And then take this extra throttle mechanism off there too, since it goes directly into the engine, on this older Troy-Bilt tiller. As you can see, very clean on the bottom because it's new. This one right here, not so much. So it's just better off to replace it, since I also was leaking gas and all that stuff around the seals too, which I have new gaskets and everything for as well. So there's the new gaskets. So we're in good shape with all of that. As you can see, I've gotten the gas tank off of it and the exhaust so that I can get to these bolts right here. I'm also going to tighten up the valve cover a little bit. I think that might be one of the sources of where the oil was coming out from. Again, it wasn't coming out too bad. This is probably just use, running time. So I just got to take the little breather pipe off there and take those two bolts off, take these linkages off, and we'll have everything off here. So I got everything in and down. I've tapped this, and luckily I was able to use like a let's see what drill bit I used there. 7/32. Well, it's like 3/32 is the drill bit I used, which got me to, be able to thread it into like a 1/8 screw there. And so I was able to do that with the electric drill, which isn't ideal, but it did work just fine. My battery powered drill's been gone for about 3 months now. It hasn't come back home. Hopefully it'll come back home in a couple weeks. So I've got that tapped now, which means that I can put this on there, which oddly enough it didn't have the tapped hole, but it had the area so that it would lock in, which is kind of strange. So like I said, kind of strange, but it works either way. And the metal here is so soft that it was super easy to tap the thread anyways, so it's not like it was a huge task or a big trouble or anything like that. So there's the spring in there. Throw this down, screw it in. I don't know if I quite drilled it tight enough in there. It's just a little bit loose, so I will get probably get a washer, because I don't want to try and drill that hole further down and mess up my threads. So, and I didn't want to drill so far into the carburetor that I drilled through it. So I'll get a washer, put that together. I'll go ahead and put the air filter cover and stuff on it too, and put it in the 4 bolt holes there. That way I'm not sucking dirt down a brand new carburetor. Put the gas cap on, we'll crank, and the exhaust, and we'll crank it up next. So turn it around and put about 1/4 of a tank of gas in it, and finish putting the linkage and stuff on there. Just put a little spacer on it. It's working good. So hopefully this thing will start. If it starts, I'll be very happy. as you can hear, it sounds much better. That's full throttle. So now, let me try the cable, make sure all that works. We'll drive it around a little bit. There you go. Can't believe how good this thing runs. There's idle. Gas cap is, but much better than it was. Again, I'm not looking for perfection with this thing. I'm just looking for a good tiller. And let's make sure it restarts. So, like I said, when I bought these things, the cable, the carburetor, and the gas cap all together were about 40 bucks, and I paid $10 for the tiller. I mean, I didn't pay much at all. It came as an add-on to one of the big mower lots I bought, and I do have the cover for this. I'll put it on. Actually, it's right over here. Put that on, and we'll call this one done, y'all. Like I said, I'm pretty sure my uncle will be buying this from me for right around $150-ish, I'm pretty sure. We might work out a little bit better deal where I can use his trailer or whatever but I'll definitely get my money back because I've only got 50 bucks in it, and again, I'm really happy with it. So this has been a fun little tiller here, and I hope y'all enjoyed it, revisiting it, and hope this helps maybe some of y'all that might have a little bit of tiller troubles. I may have gone the easy route by putting a new carburetor on it, but it definitely saves the headache of trying to get an old carburetor, which is kind of rough looking anyways, back going again. So again, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thank y'all again for watching, and I've got maybe a couple other carburetor videos to do, which I don't have the parts for, that should be coming here in the next couple of months. It's supposed to get really cold here before long too, so probably won't be doing too much after that. But hey, I got a nice tiller going here, and probably already got a buyer for it, which is great. So again, thank y'all for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank y'all for all of the views that I've been given. I'm very close to 400 subscribers now, and I think I've got my biggest videos got over 20,000 views now, which was the carburetor clean on the Craftsman. So again, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.